Okay, so firstly, from a macro perspective, the world's changed considerably, hasn't it, in the last 12 months? And in the UK, we've got a new government with their own policies. On the world stage, we've seen regime change, wars, rising inflation, of course, the recent Trump tariffs impacting us all. We've got a cost of living crisis impacting not just the teachers, but the well-being of students as well. On top of this, in the UK financial services market, we've seen new pensions regulations introduced. And so from a sector perspective, financial uncertainty impacts everyone in the sector, including the leaders, schools and students. There's pressures on public sector budgets, as everybody knows. The new government is introducing new report cards and there are greater employee expectations as these are published. So a lot of pressure really to show leadership. In addition, the report card highlights personal development and well-being as an assessed category. So, from our perspective, we're responding to greater demand around aspects such as financial education and inclusion, particularly in relation to long-term retirement planning. The cost of living crisis, rising inflation and changes to pension regulations have all contributed to greater concern amongst educators about their financial futures. So we're completing more seminars, helping with well-being and personal development. We've also seen a notable increase in demand for more personalised financial guidance. Educators are seeking clarity around complex areas like the teacher's pension scheme, tax implications, and the best ways to make their money work harder amid such economic uncertainty. And luckily, we're very active in this area as well. We've got dedicated professionals and have some great tools for one-to-one support, allowing us to model scenarios with education clients. We recognise that trust leaders are not only managing the operational challenge of their schools and academies, but are deeply invested in the well-being of their staff, including their own financial well-being. In response to this, we've taken a proactive response to partner with trust leaders to provide holistic financial education and planning support across their organisations. This shift has prompted us to evolve our service to offer even more tailored support, including presentations and one-on-one planning sessions that build around the unique needs of those working in education, including pension planning, tax efficiency, and long-term investment strategies. An example of this from one of our advisors where we've supported a client, a quote from one of our advisors says, "I had a client last week who was going to leave teaching in September. She's now decided to see out the last 5 years in her role, as I've explained what an incredible benefits package she has. She saw the difference that it would make, and the additional cost to her to bridge the gap worked out at about 25,000 that she'd need to find." So in a time where recruitment and retention are key concerns, our support has become a value-added benefit that helps trusts position themselves as employers who genuinely care about the long-term welfare of their staff. By equipping educational professionals with tools and knowledge to make informed financial decisions, we're helping trust leaders foster more resilient, confident, and future-focused teams.
Hi, John Brady here. The question of the last 12 months, what have we seen? I think, unfortunately, there's been a real lack of goodwill and hope in the sector. The new government, I think, brought a lot of hope in the summer, and we saw that at the start of the new academic year. But that belief that greater funding and just a greater support from the government has sort of ebbed away. And it's really seemed to have faded and taken over with greater uncertainty, but not just in schools. Generally, globally, I think that global uncertainty is sort of seeping through to schools and obviously to leadership teams. So the importance of focusing on school leaders thriving is more to the forefront from where we are right now. And along that, we really are sort of corporate response is to continue our school leader thriving program. And that's the bit where we really want people to focus that actually the culture shift, particularly within the UK, that the prevention is the cure. When it comes to well-being, the move from focusing on health, from a point of focus on it when people are sick or ill or absent, from a culture perspective at leadership, that the problem is almost endemic because we've always had the NHS there to look after us when we're ill. we don't have that personal responsibility. And we started the School Leaders Thriving program for the leaders to focus on their own well-being and what does well-being mean around the lifestyle. Let's look at levels of stress, our nutrition, our exercise, our sleep, and how that enhances performance and how that makes us better leaders, so that when we're looking at a solution, it's around an inbuilt program that we offer, but also that at the bottom of it, fundamentally, everyone's health and well-being is everyone else's responsibility, but the leaders enable this. And the more empowered, informed, and educated the leaders are, the bigger the impact for all, that well-being can be the foundation for high performance. And we look at leaders as being architects of well-being for all.
Hi there, I'm Chris Billington, part of the education team at Wrigley's Solicitors. For Wrigley's, the biggest shift for the sector in the last 12 months has come from the election of the Labour government. Until then, academy status and trust were the main focus of government education policy. However, there has been a shift in that policy and draft legislation to create more parity between the academy and the maintained sectors, and to look to local authorities and trusts alike for school improvement support. As trust leaders, your focus is on serving your children, communities and staff, looking to make a bigger difference. And at Wrigley's, we see ourselves as your partners in this endeavour. We are accustomed to supporting our clients as they navigate change on an operational level with their policies and procedures, and strategically as they look at their position for the future. We are committed to ensuring you thrive, whatever the challenge. Thank you.
Well, what's the biggest change? I'm going to talk about the positives. And the most positive thing for me and the team is seeing the collaboration between trusts. I mean, there's so much uncertainty and there's so many problems still that we're facing day in, day out as a sector. And we know what those are. But it is the collaboration and the sharing of, there's a lot of hard work going on. And when trusts are supporting each other, that makes my heart sing. It really does. And it's such a privilege to be part of those conversations. We're working with trusts that are hosting visits, likes of Secretary of State. So we're getting to hear those conversations. And that's great. But we know we can only do what we can do. But what we can do is work together more effectively. And that is happening. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud to be part of that. So another positive I feel, and I was probably a little skeptical at the start, is the introduction of the RISE teams. I'm really encouraged about some of the conversations we're hearing between RISE teams and our trusts. And I'd urge everyone to really think about how they're communicating and working together with their RISE teams, seeing their place in the system and seeing how they can really have those effective conversations with them to get things done.
From everything we've seen, there's really never been more change in the sector. Rather than one thing, we've obviously had a new government. They've brought new priorities. Big things coming like the curriculum review and the changes to Ofsted, one way or another, including, I think, following on from schools, interesting question around the inspection of trusts and what that's going to look like. And in addition to all of those new priorities, there's also the kind of long-standing challenges that schools are navigating and trusts too, with finances, with SEND provision and funding, and also just the position and growth of trusts and what that looks like. So it's really hard to pick one shift. Another thing we're seeing is the rapid evolution of technology. All of the existing challenges and opportunities around better use of technology and data. And then on top of that, the emergence of AI, which is shifting all sorts of things in schools and beyond. So over 89% of MATs have the key in at least one of their schools. So that's over 7,000 academies. really, we're doing what we've always done and supporting schools to navigate change, whether that's with need to knows on all of these changes that are coming to things like Ofsted, or helping them make sure they're on top of their policies. We're also been producing lots of guidance and support around things like attendance, which has been getting a lot of focus across the country. Also supporting trusts and schools with courses. Our next cohort-based course coming up is on leading safeguarding in a world of AI. And we're seeing lots of interest in those kind of deeper courses for school and trust leaders. And finally, really helping trusts with the increasing importance of governance and trust governance, whether that's using Governor Hub to oversee the running of their local governing boards and their central team operations, or myself leading the development of Robin, which is a brand new tool conducting website compliance checks for schools using the magic of AI.